Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Thursday, February the 19th, 2026. So, of course, as usual, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, let's see. Yeah, so started watching some shorts from January 1946. Got through all that today. Among those included, of course, Little Lulu's bargain counter attack, where basically she was trying to went to a department store to exchange her doll, only for her, to make a huge mess, and then decide she wanted to keep the doll after all. So, among other things, also saw, of course, Svengali's cat from Mighty Mouse. Um, the book review, Looney Tunes short from early 1946 there. Anyways, so let's see now. So we're at 2 minutes now. Let's see. Yeah, so some interesting stuff. Some stuff from some stuff from Warner Brothers, some stuff from. It's funny because at least on television, I'm obviously watching stuff online. Oh, and I also saw the debut, well, the initial debut, at least the prototypes for Heckle, Jekyll, and Dimwit, um, from Terry Tunes, um, the Talking Magpies. So that was also one of the things I watched today. And Dimwit's a dog apparently that had a series. So, anyways, so now we're coming up on 3 minutes. I guess I'll talk about what's on top for tonight. I've got a couple articles I'm going to go over. One from Bleeding Pool, one from Bounding into Comics. One talking about the validity of digital comics collection, and then the other one got some Power Rangers news, I guess, on the Bounding into Comics. And of course, we'll get into the wrestling wrap up. Look back to last night's Dynamite with some twists and turns that happened. Um, Looking ahead to tonight's Impact and Ring of Honor shows. And then we'll wrap up with this day in each history. So, with that being said, let's see. I guess I'll. One last friendly reminder before we get started here. If you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's go. Let me go pull up the first article here. We will get into this here. Actually saw this article last night, but decided to push it back to tonight and do the indie comic showcase instead because this article looked like it was going to go pretty quick. It was a pretty quick piece. I wanted to hopefully build it up with some of the articles as well, time purpose wise. Oh, anyways, let's get into this. So, debating the validity of digital comic collecting for newcomers, article by Scott Roberts. Um, Published yesterday, February 18, 2026. So let's get into this then. So Just like in novels, there's an idea shared by many enthusiasts that the only valid approach is the traditional one. The printed page is the only way, they say, and anything else is heresy. um, though the die-hard voices in the space have mellowed over the years, the discussion over whether physical or digital comics is the better approach is still a valid one. If you're new, you might be wondering where this comes from and what your approach should be. The classic remains classic. Despite what modernists sometimes claim, there are good reasons to turn to printed comics as a potentially superior option. The first thing that is often pointed to is the tactile feel of a book in your hand. Having a dedicated copy to carry, to flip through, and yes, to smell is not something that a digital comic can ever match. Then, not everyone cares about these elements or has the nostalgia for the classic approach that so many of us share. Hmm. Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this debate, I think it goes deeper than just comics, though. I think it just goes, you know, that goes. I think that goes to anything. There's that natural debate of, you know, is the progress we made really that great a thing? You know, digital versus physical, right? Um, I think here they're talking specifically about comics, but I think this debate you can apply to just life in general as well. You know, but anyways, getting back to the article here, classic comics also have the potential to stand as status items to demonstrate dedication to a brand or to predict a formerly underestimated property. The line here between enthusiast and elitist may be blurred, but there's no denying the very real financial value that the rarest comics can hold, as we've seen over the last few years of some classic issues like Action Comics #1, Superman #1, among many others. Um, this isn't a little thing either. We're talking serious retirement scratch with the rarest of the rare. Digital advantages. Hey, Metal. Demonstrate dedication to a brand that no longer has any. Okay, in quotes here. Demonstrate dedication to a brand, unquote, that no longer has any dedication to you. Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it there, Metal. Um, yeah, that considering that the top two have, you know, have doodled the doggy, as it were. um, yeah. So, anyways, let's see about digital advantages here. When looking at digital comics, the advantages are usually demonstrated as their use as an alternative, and the physical realities of data over paper as a storage medium. As an alternative, many comic enthusiasts don't see digital copies as the be-all and or end-all, but rather as a way to plug holes in their collections, not possible when taking a physical approach. Well, granted, like some copies, get worn, like like a 75, 80-year-old comic is going, it's going to have a lot of wear and tear on it. We've seen how, when they, and we, and metal, you've been on shows with me before where sometimes some of the copies that we've seen have been a little like either scratchy or blurry or just not scanned as well. There's some that were good scans, others that weren't so good. So, but anyways, a comic you're missing in the physical space might be out of your price range or impossible to find, in which case a system like Marvel's unlimited subscription could be a perfect temporary or permanent alternative. In this way, digital comics are similar to other forms of entertainment, which have evolved from the strictly physical into the shared sphere. Casino gaming is a prime example. Once entirely confined to the physical sphere, today a broad range of online gaming experiences like casino slots, like super coins, like super coins and big bet. So iGaming experience like casino slot, like super coins and big bass splash, offer an alternative to physical play that many enthusiasts prefer. Like comics, these are available on tablets, smartphones, laptops, and desktops. And also, like comics, there is no singular better option. Storage comes into play when looking at any comic book collection built over the years. It's not uncommon for readers to eventually build libraries of hundreds or thousands of titles, and each of these introduces problems in storage, maintenance, and reading. Humidity, theft, heat, random animal damage, um, or so many more potential issues can ruin collections. And this problem only grows over time, as we were talking about earlier. I mean, if you guys have checked out the Sunday shows, we've seen some comics where you could just tell there was a lot of wear and tear because portions of dialogue were cut out due to you know like um like parts of pages missing for certain reasons. So let's see. With digital collecting, you can keep thousands of comics on a single piece of storage media. You can also back these up and implement systems to quickly sort through and read exactly what you want. Now, granted, as you guys know, there are sites like Comic Book Plus, Read Comics online. That you can find where you can find a lot of these. That's basically where these are the places where I find the stuff to read a lot of times. Comic Book Plus has a lot of the less kind of the lesser known companies you know outside of the big two or three, and then Read Comics has has a lot too. It's a lot more of the mainstream stuff. So, um, anyways, as we um, what you want when you want it. A single comic short box containing around 130 comics can weigh around 9 kilograms or 20 pounds. Yeah, and if you guys remember, I showed you the collection I had a while back. In weight alone, this quickly adds up. With a digital comic coming in at about 30 megabytes, the ability to fit more than 8,500 on a single 256 gigabyte SD card isn't a close comparison. As purists, we have a hard time arguing against the traditional approach. But if we're being fair, it's difficult to speak against the advantages of digital. If you're a newcomer, we recommend you try out a combination of both, collecting some sets physically and see how you come to value that experience. This way you can ensure you're not missing out. And you'll still have another option if you need to go digital down the line. All right, so as always, guys, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Goes for both my Rumble and my YouTube viewers. And we will now get ready to move on to the next article over at Bounding in the Comics in regards to some Power Rangers news. Hmm. There it is right there. All right, so here's the other article we're going to go over tonight. This one I think will take us a little longer here. From Playmates to, in smaller quotes, Fortnite. It looks like Power Rangers, in smaller quotes, is finally moving on from Mighty Morphin. Article by Spencer Bacouli, published today. So let's see what's going on here. Despite the specific incarnation of the multicolored hero team having hung up their power coins exactly 30 years ago, so I guess back in 1996, a mix of older fans now having disposable income and nostalgia being an easy money printing machine, small quotes, so has seen the Power Rangers IP ever focused on its initial Mighty Morphin era, with said team headlining every relevant toy line, comic book, video game, and Netflix special, while their 22 successors have meanwhile languished by the wayside. But in light of recent updates from both current Power Rangers toy manufacturer Playmates and Fortnite developer Epic Games, it seems the world is finally ready to move from Zordon's original set of teenagers with attitude. Oh, look at that. Let's see. To the American Super Sentai adaptation's credit, years past did see the franchise making a genuine play at emulating the source the source material. I guess there's a typo there. Anthology spirit. As past owners Saban Entertainment and Disney both treated each new team with as much reverence and merchandising importance as their predecessors. While no such admission has ever been made by an official source, it seems the turning point for this approach came in 2016, courtesy of Boom Studios. First Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic book relaunch. Its initial run, helmed by writers Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott, featuring such notable artists as Hendry Prasetya, I guess did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto Volume 1, Simone Di Mayo, X-Men Apocalypse, Volume 1, in parentheses there, Daniel D. Nicuolo, DC versus Vampires #1, in parentheses there, Jonas Scharf, Ultimate Endgame, Volume 1, in parentheses there, and Dan Mora, Justice League Unlimited, Volume 2, in parentheses there. Thanks to the Boom Studios crew and their Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1 style, smaller quotes, modern refresh, which itself notably included the introduction of such new franchise concepts as Black Dragon and Lord Drakon. The Mighty Morphin team suddenly found themselves once again enjoying the pop culture spotlight. Far from an overnight switch in philosophy, the franchise would continue to pay proper due to its wide array of Rangers up until 2019. With the March seeing the release of Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, a 3-on-3 fighter whose roster spans across the Morphin Grid from Zeo to Mystic Force, to Lionsgate's 2017 live-action film and the aforementioned Boom Studio series, in parentheses here, not to mention Capcom Street Fighter, whose star duo of Ryu and Chun-Li appears as special guests, on parentheses. Rather, the path to Power Rangers' oncoming Mighty Morphin obsession would begin the year prior, with May 2018 seeing Saban Entertainment agreeing to sell the entirety of the IP to Hasbro. The deal ultimately being finalized a few months later on July 2nd. The release of Battle of the Grid, freeing them from the last of the franchise's Saban-led commitments, Hasbro, ostensibly driven by the success of Boom Studios' reboot, then proceeded to go all in on the Mighty Morphin merchandising. In terms of toys, Hasbro not only launched their own Lightning Collection line, its roster expanding slightly past the show's first 3 seasons, but still overwhelmingly focused on them. But also began to sublicense the brand to other manufacturers like Diamond, Funko, and 3-0, all of which opted to focus their efforts solely on Jason, Kimberly, Zach, Trini, Billy, and Tommy. And there's, I guess it looks like a doll of Billy right there, who was portrayed, who in the original series was portrayed by David Yost. With regards to comics, the Hasbro deal saw the ink dry on numerous crossovers with Godzilla, Usagi Yojimbo, and even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all of whom, you guessed it, went up against Angel Grover's finest, all while the mainline Boom offerings continue to likewise revolve around the core group. Though their video game adventures have been less impressive overall post Battle of the Grid, the team has still received an overwhelmingly amount of digital attention in the form of two mobile games, Power Rangers Morphin Legends and Power Rangers Might Force. The side-scrolling beat 'em up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind, and a collaboration with the aforementioned Fortnite, which brought the Core 6, Tommy's White Ranger form, the Megazord, and Lord Zed to the game. Hell, they even managed to shoehorn both Billy and Zach into the Once and Always Netflix special, with the reintroduced Billy even going on to serve as a lead character in the show's final season, Cosmic Fury. Thankfully, it seems that the franchise is finally ready to break out of its 90s kids obsession and start giving genuine love to later Power Rangers seasons. The first hint to the change came via the recent Toy Fair 2027, where at Playmates, who recently acquired the Power Rangers toy license from Hasbro in 2024, unveiled the next set of Reignition toys, which, in following their originally announced plan, will move on from Mighty Morphin Season 1 and instead tackle Season 2's new lore additions. New releases include figures for the Red, Black, and Yellow Ranger, successors Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. Adam, as everybody probably remembers, was played, I believe, by Johnny Young Bosch, if I remember correctly. The villainous Lord Zed and Thunder Megazord, with a White Ranger, a Tiger Zoid, and replicas of the Saba sword and mask set to be announced at a later date. Interestingly said, Mighty Morphin fatigue seems to have affected Playmate production plans. According to YouTuber Long's Toys, when asked on the show floor as to, quote, why we never got the Dragon Zord, unquote, a Playmates rep purportedly told him, quote, for Dragon Zord, no retail wanted to step up and take the exclusive, unquote. Quote, it's possible it could still happen, but it would most likely be an online exclusive somewhere if it did, unquote, the rep added. Quote, for White Ranger, it will be an exclusive at Walmart first, just like Green, probably around July. Then elsewhere, then everywhere else come the fall. And this time, they want the White Tiger Zoid as well, unquote. Next up was Epic Games, who today unveiled that their Fortnite Power Rangers collaboration would receive another pair of skins in the form of the Tommy and Trent Fernandez Mercer's Dino Thunder respective identities as the white and black Dino Ranger. While Boom Studios' current Power Rangers Prime, which was admittedly hit or miss in its execution, but was at least doing something different, is coming to an end in favor of yet another Mighty Morphin reboot, and Disney's live-action efforts are unsurprisingly focused on the team's most, in smaller quotes, well-known incarnation, that the existence of the Thunder Zords and Dino Thunder are being publicly acknowledged in any way is a genuinely positive sign for the franchise's future. In parentheses here, now here's hoping Zeo and or Space get their time to shine as well, in parentheses. All right, so there we go with that one. So we're done with the articles. I actually do need to step away for a quick moment. But I'll put some music on to entertain you guys while I'm gone. And when I get back, we'll probably move along to the wrestling wrap-up. So I will be right back, though. right. All right. So, anyways, now we're gonna get ready to move on to the wrestling wrap up. Of course, we're gonna look back to last night's Dynamite, look ahead to tonight's Impact and Ring of Honor shows. Also, we do have a little bit of news coming out of the WWE as well. So it was reported earlier today that if you're a Roxanne Perez fan and been wondering why she hasn't been on the last couple weeks, she's been recovering from surgery to remove a benign tumor that was in her back that was causing her some pain. So she's recovering from that. She should be back soon, according to her. She did a video on Instagram about it, responding to fans who'd been asking about her. So if you're a Roxanne Perez fan, she'll be back soon, hopefully. But with that little piece out of the way, now let's go ahead and look back to last night's AEW Dynamite. Of course, this is the Dynamite coming as they came from the Memorial Auditorium in Sacramento, California. Coming back from their Australia tour over the weekend, which they had their Grand Slam Australia event back on Saturday there. Of course, you had Brian Danielson, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone on commentary here. So now, so the show opened up with AEW Continental title eliminator match in which the challenger, in this case, Don Callis family member Mark Davis, had he lasted the time limit or won the match, he would have earned a shot at AEW Continental title. Jon Moxley staved off that challenge, beating him in 13 minutes 56 seconds, finishing him off by basically choking him out with the Bulldog Sleeper, as they call it. Then the next match saw in a four-way match for the AEW TBS title. Willow Nightingale was able to successfully defend the title against Marina Shafir, Megan Bayne, and Mina Shirakawa, as after hitting an avalanche German suplex from the second turnbuckle on Megan Bayne, and Megan Bayne took a pretty nasty fall there, right on her head with that move. As Mina Shirakawa was trying to execute the figure four leg lock. Classic reversal of figure four here, in which the champion Willow executed a small package to get the win on Mina. Then, of course, you had a segment between Hangman Adam Page and MJF, as Page, of course, earned a number one contender shot at the AEW World title, decided to up the ante a bit, and basically had offered that if he did not win this match, and he did not win the match and win the title, he would never again challenge for the AEW World title. In order to get Max to agree to a Texas death match for this match. So this match was set for Revolution in about a month, about 3 weeks actually, or no, a month. Then you had the conglomeration duo of Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii defeating the duo of Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd, who in the state here are still going by the name Bullet Club War Dogs, even though that faction was merged with LFI to form Unbound Company over in New Japan. Then the Brawling Birds, who made their in-ring debut over the weekend in Australia during the House Rules show. Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor made their Dynamite in-ring debut, defeating Becca and Viva Van in 3 minutes 54 seconds. Let's see. Kevin Knight defeated the Beast Mortos in 8 minutes 39 with a UFO splash. And in the main event, you saw Swerve Strickland defeat Kenny Omega. After the match, he attacked Omega and essentially tried to seriously injure him, executing basically a back-to-back driver, pile driver on him, move most people remember as the Vertebreaker. I think Cody calls his version Din's Fire. But executed that. So that so at least we had some announcements for and for Revolution coming up. I think on March, I believe it's March 15th. So it might be more like 3.5 weeks away. You have Adam. I believe you'll have Adam Page taking on MJF for the AEW World Title in a Texas Death Match. If Adam Page fails to win, he will never challenge for the AEW. And now, granted, remember, he, along with Jet Speed, are the current AEW World Trios champions as well. So that's all we got for the AEW side of things. So now let's look ahead to what's going down on tonight's Impact and Ring of Honor shows. So tonight's Impact, coming from the Pinnacle in Nashville, Tennessee, with Tom Hannafan and Matthew Rainwalt on commentary. Channing Lorenzo is apparently exercising his return match clause, as he will be facing Trey Miguel to become for the TNA International Championship. Tessa Blanchard is set to take on Jody Threat in a one-on-one competition. BDE teams with Rich Swann to take on the team of Sinner and Saint of Judas Icarus and Travis Williams. And in a guitar case casket match, Mustafa Ali of Order 4 will be taking on Elijah. That's all going down on Impact tonight. So now moving ahead to also let's see what's going down on Ring of Honor Club tonight. Ring of Honor Club coming from the Qudos Bank Arena in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Matches already signed include Johnny Robbie taking on Skyflight's Zeta Steel with Christopher Daniel in her corner. Che Cabrera and the Mighty Don't Kneel duo of Shane Haste and Bad Dude Tito are in 6-man tag action, taking on the Skyflight trio of Scorpio Sky and Top Flight of Dante and Darius Martin, with, of course, Zeta Steel and Christopher Daniels in their corner. Robbie Eagle set to take on Captain Sean Dean of the Infantry in one-on-one action. Aisha and Frankie B are set to take on the Sisters of Sin of Sky Blue and Julia Hart in women's tag team action. In 6-man tag action, Don Castle and the Outrunners of Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum take on the team of North Shore Wrestling of Will Credis and the Osborne brothers, Jack and Sam Osborne. I believe they're brothers. Nina Shirakawa takes on Charlie Evans in one-on-one action, and Mark Tavis takes on the Tuck Man. All right, so that's all we got for you on the wrestling wrap-up. Of course, we'll go over the results tomorrow on tomorrow's show, as well as look ahead to coming weekend's Collision and coming tomorrow night's SmackDown Collision. So now what we're gonna do is today being Thursday, February the 19th, 2026. Let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! 797, 2006, 1966, and 1946. All right. So the first thing I would like to do is I would like to actually wish a happy 80th birthday. Happy 80th birthday to Japanese actor Hiroshi Fujioka, who provided the voice of Phantom on the Japanese voice, obviously, for Phantom in Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea. Also, he was a Japanese dub voice for Shan Yu in Mulan. So happy 80th birthday to Japanese actor Hiroshi Fujioka. Now, moving ahead to the year 1966, 60 years ago today. On this date, 60 years ago today, Solid Tin Coyote, 1966 Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoon that was produced by DePatie-Freleng Enterprises, DFE. Same company, of course, that gave us the Pink Panther cartoons. Directed by Rudy Lariva. Premiered on this date back in 1966 and stars Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. In this film, Wile creates a robotic coyote, uses it against the Roadrunner. So 60 years ago today, Solid Tin Coyote, produced by DePatie-Freleng Enterprises, distributed by Warner Brothers, premiered in movie theaters on this date back in 1966. Now moving ahead to the year 1997, which of course is 29 years ago today. On this date, 29 years ago today, back in 1997, the 545th issue of Adventures of Superman, which started out just simply as Superman, went on sale on this date back in 1997. It sold for $1.95, was 32 pages. The story was Power Crisis, is written by Carl Kessel, with Scott Eaton on pencils, Jose F. Marzan Jr. on inks, lettering done by Albert Tobias de Guzman, Glenn Whitmore doing the coloring. So the 545th issue of Adventures of Superman went on sale on its date back in 1997. And finally, we move ahead to the year 2006. Is on this date in the year 2006. WWE held its No Way Out pay-per-view from the First Mariner Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. It was a SmackDown brand exclusive event. Let's see. The main event saw Kurt Angle defend his World Heavyweight Championship against The Undertaker. Angle won the match after reversing a triangle choke into a jackknife cover. Basically, the jackknife cover what they're talking about is when a guy is basically on his back and on his shoulders and has his leg flipped up over him. That's what they call a jackknife cover. If anybody who has any knowledge of like mixed martial arts, the triangle choke is basically is a combination choke and armbar type maneuver. Let's see. What else can we? What else do they say here? One of the predominant matches on the card was Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio for Mysterio's World Championship match at WrestleMania 22. Orton won the match with a roll-up while using the ropes for extra leverage. Another primary match on the undercard was Booker T versus Chris Benoit for the WWE United States Championship, which Benoit won after forcing Booker to submit to the crippler crossface. The move a lot of people know of today as the label lock. Basically, it's a armbar crossface type of combination submission. So that happened 20 years ago on this date. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow, of course. So with that, and don't forget, of course, this Sunday I'll have Sabrina from Devil Flyer Momentum on with me, as we'll be continuing our trip down Comics History Lane, looking at books went on sale in August 1940. This case focusing in on books that went on sale from MLJ Enterprises, the company everybody knows of today as Archie Comics. So with that, I thank y'all for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.